education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There's a time for public participation during the regular meeting. Now we will call the roll.
Mr. Simons?
Present.
Mrs. Kessler?
Here.
Mrs. Whiter?
Here.
Mrs. Cleveland's absent. Mrs. Moore?
Here.
Thank you. We will now say the Pledge of Allegiance led by our superintendent.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Okay, now we would like to have an approval or revision of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Ms. Perry?
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Whiter?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes. Motion passes. And now we will have our inspirational message. And Mr. Card, would you please handle that?
Yes, we have Springdale Elementary, the Shining Stars here. So I know they're going to do a great job. I saw them back there practicing, and I tried to dance with them, but they looked at me like, this old guy's crazy. So I kept walking. So we're ready for you. Come on up.
They're going to be the
Oh,
finale.
well, here we go. Hold up.
Ah,
Mrs. Tinbarge will start.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Lisa Tenbarge. I'm the proud principal at Springdale Elementary, and as you said, our inspirational message is Shining Stars. We are celebrating being named a 5-star school on the report card this year. Our mission is to prepare students for college, career, and life success, and to that end, we have a strong focus on academic excellence. We want to thank our families, students, and staff who worked so hard to make this happen, so we appreciate all the effort that you put into this. I'm pleased to be here this evening with our student council officers and our chorale program. To create a strong school community, we strive to develop an inclusive community of leaders, and today we'll be highlighting our student leaders. So we have some of our student council officers here, and we're going to start off with our first shining star, which is Layla Shipley, our vice president of student council.
There are stars throughout our universe as far as the imagination can possibly dream, enough stars for all to wish upon for an eternity, or so it seems. But you need not cast your eyes so high, for stars of hope in the night to appear. Those stars shine bright in all of us, full of hopes and dreams that we hold dear. Display your star and state your hope for all the world to see. Share your stars in hope that they help improve humanity. This poem is called Stars of Hope by Joe Flatch and describes what students at Springdale Elementary strive to be. Stars are unique, just like our students. Our diversity makes us special. Each student is their own shining star, representing Springdale.
The students at Springdale Elementary celebrate diversity and are encouraged to commit to being examples of a good character. The Student Council loves to give back to the students and to the staff and the Springdale community. We started the year off with our walkathon to raise the funds needed to complete our leadership projects. Thanks to the generosity of students and families, we raised over $8,000. That's a new record. In November, the Student Council took charge of Springdale's holiday food drive, as well as the Fill the Truck project. Our students and families really showed up and paid it forward with their donations to help other families in need. In December, we adopted every classroom and bought learning games from each teacher's wish list for indoor recess.
As you can see, Springdale Student Council is very busy providing leadership and service to our school and community. Thank you for your time and for allowing us to showcase some of the awesome leadership activities we are doing at Springdale. Now, we would like to present to you this certificate of registration. Be it known that star number 4305-1666 in the constellation Cassiopeia shall henceforth be known by the name Springdale Elementary. Be it further known that this name shall be copyrighted and permanently recorded in the Star Record Book as January 1st, 2024. Here is a token of appreciation for your bright, shining contribution to our Princeton community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, young lady.
Not yet?
We will conclude our inspirational message today with this performance from our chorale students who will be singing Shining Star by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Our choral group will be performing under the direction of our music teacher, Miss Lagaya McGee.
Okay, we do not have any recognition of visitors at this time, so there we will move to our recognition segment of our agenda.
All right,
Superintendent?
Thank you, sir. Dr. Jackson, could you come up, please? So, Dr. Jackson, I've spent a lot of time together lately. Yes, we have. Dr. Jackson and I spent a lot of time together lately. I was able to go down to Xavier for what we're honoring her for tonight. And then we had the Viking Voices, the people of Princeton, last week, and she was on the show. So if you haven't checked that out on ICRC-TV when it comes out. And now she's here tonight. So I want to recognize this certificate is presented to Dr. Deborah Jackson, Sharonville Elementary School, for receiving the Greater Cincinnati Excellence in Education Award, Cincinnati Association, and Xavier University Teacher of the Year. Presented by the Princeton City School District Board of Education, Monday, March 14th, 2024. Now, when we were at Xavier and Dr. Jackson was getting this award, she says, I don't know why I'm getting this. What did I do? And I told her, you love kids. That's what you do. And that's what's important. That's why we're here. You keep the kids first. So we appreciate it. You want to say anything?
I continue to be humbled. He keeps nudging me because he knows the more people recognize me, the littler I feel. And he thinks it's funny. He's just laughing. But it is an honor. As most of you know, I came from another school district, and I came to Princeton. First of all, because I like the color red. That's first of all. But and I really do like red. But secondly, and more importantly, I love the diversity in Princeton. I love my work here in Princeton. The staff is great. The supportive people are just wonderful. And even the bad times don't seem so bad when you get a chance to come and work for a place like this. So, Mr. Carr, you're going to stop teasing me. Thank you so much.
Sir?
Don't go anywhere. Stay there. We gotta get it.
Some more people to tease me. Oh, yes, we do. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good. How are you? Thank you. A double hug now. I'm getting ready to. I told somebody I just come here to hug my friends.
Congratulations.
Dr. Jackson and I taught together for several years at Sharonville.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful.
Was that the Miata days or what?
I heard she was a master teacher too. Trained other teachers to be teachers. It's great.
Okay, our next piece is Music in Our Schools Month proclamation.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'd like to read this proclamation, Music in the Schools Month. The Board of Education of Princeton City School District, Cincinnati, Ohio, met in regular session, 6:30 p.m. on the 4th day of March, 2024, with the following members present. Mr. John Simon, President, Ms. Jody Kessler, Vice President, Mrs. Gina Ruffenmore, Mrs. Susan Wider. The board wishes to proclaim the following. Whereas the study of music contributes to young people's development through heightened skills in listening, reading, self-expression, and creativity. And whereas music education in the schools includes a broad range of types of music and active musical experiences. And whereas music and other arts significantly enhance the morale and quality of the school environment. And whereas it is stated objective of the public schools to prepare children for a productive role in our society. And whereas the National Association for Music Education has designated March 2024 as Music in Our Schools Month with the theme, I See Music Education. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Princeton Board of Education endorses and observance of Music in Our Schools Month as an opportunity to support the purposes and practices of music education and encourages teachers, parents, students, and all citizens to participate because I see music education.
Thank you. Moving on, our next proclamation is National Women's History Month.
Thank you, sir. The board wishes to proclaim the following. Whereas the National Women's History Alliance, NWHA, has declared March as National Women's History Month. And whereas the theme for 2024 is Women Who Advocate for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And whereas NWHA encourages recognition of women past and present who have been active in all forms of media and storytelling, including print, radio, TV, stage, screen, blogs, podcasts, and more. And whereas women have long been instrumental in passing on our heritage in word and in print to communicate the lessons to those who came before us. And whereas women's stories and the larger human story expand our understanding and strengthen our connections with each other. And whereas we recognize and honor these brave, accomplished, and influential women who told and continue to tell their stories. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Princeton Board of Education endorses the observance of National Women's History Month in March and recognizes that women's dedication and shared desire to give voice to the voiceless are critical to keeping us informed, entertained, and aware. Thank you.
Thank you. 30-second editorial piece. I think that the women that shared this dais with me, including our treasurer, vice president, longtime service members, Gina and Susan, and in absentia, Mary Cleveland. They should all feel very proud this month, not that they don't, but they are also trailblazers and women of history.
Thank you. And it's so wonderful that you decided to join us. We were an all-women's school board for about 6 years. Thank you.
I had to get my driver's license.
He taught us diversity.
He taught us diversity. Yes, thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to our consent agenda, and we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Properly moved in second.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes,
Mr. Simons?
Yes,
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
motion passes. Moving on to district business. We have on top is the approval of the new job description of Assistant Director of Student Services.
I move to approve the new job description of Assistant Director of Student Services as presented.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
This position will help with our Director of Student Services and some of the things he's done. As you may be aware, we had a Director of Special Ed last year, and we don't have that anymore. So when I got into the role, I saw a need for this position and asked the team and Dr. Jamison and myself and others to come up with this description, and we will get that out and get the best person for Princeton.
Thank
Mrs.
Sure.
Moore?
Yes,
Mr. Simons?
you. Yes,
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
motion passes. Approval of revision to the administrative handbook.
We just have to add this position in the administrative handbook, so we ask you to approve that so we can put it in that handbook.
I move to approve the revision to the administrative handbook.
second.
Properly moved and seconded. Ms. Better?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes,
Mr. Simons?
Yes,
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Motion passes. Approval of resolution recommending approval to contract with First Student for transportation services. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution recommending approval to contract with First Student for transportation services as presented.
Second. Discussion.
We have, as you know, our contract is up right now with our busing, and we put out the RFP, and we've had 4 back, so we went through the process. With the help of the team, I got their advice and what they thought, and then I went through the rubrics, and First Student was the lowest, but also the best we felt. So that's why we're asking to be able to negotiate with them.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mrs. Patterson,
Mr. Simons?
yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
I have to abstain.
I also abstain.
Well,
I think we're at the,
that's not a majority,
yeah.
Nope.
so we would, when does this contract have to be approved by in order to, when does it
July
end?
1st?
Yeah, it ends at the end of this year.
End of the school year?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to
We'll revisit.
withdraw and have further discussion. Speaking of discussion, let's go to our academic update.
All righty, curriculum team, please come up. They're ready. And you should have a copy of the PowerPoint at your desk there.
Oh, yes, sir. Is this yours? You got
No, I got one in here somewhere, I believe.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Happy Women's History Month to our Women Board of Education members, and thank you for your dedication and service. So I'm going to start today with some great data. First of all, I would like to thank our teachers, our families, our principals, our instructional coaches, special ed staff, EL staff, because without them, this data would not be possible, and the growth is, truly amazing. We have a ways to go, but we have to celebrate where we are. So what you are looking at currently is elementary growth data for our tested grades for 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. This is using our iReady assessments, which are our benchmark assessments. So if you can see, I'm not going to read everything to you. So this data is actually from fall. So when the students come in, they're assessed in the fall in September. And this is the percentage proficient that they were in reading and in math. So if you can look at the growth, start with 3rd grade reading. We started in the fall, 2023 at 36%. And in the winter, we are now at 56%, and it yielded 20% growth. So if you look through those, I won't read them all to you. We are excited to see a sea of green and to see proficiency and growth in our students in both reading and math. And also I wanted to include some K-2 data because, again, our philosophy is to make sure that we are also looking at the growth of the students who are coming to us before we get to 3rd grade. That early literacy component is really important. We did focus on it in the past, but we just didn't include some of the data because it wasn't tested. But now that we have the early literacy, we want to share that with you as well. So we can see some remarkable growth from our kindergarten students. When we look at reading, they started off at 21% in the fall, and in the winter they're now at 56% proficient, and that is a 35% growth measure. And again, if you look at the math in kindergarten, 1st grade reading, you can definitely see that we are growing our students, and we're very proud of that because it certainly is a team effort here in Princeton to get these results. And we're not done yet. So we are looking at our mid-year growth and looking forward to continuing to grow our students to meet those stretch goals. So next, these are some elementary action steps that we are currently taking. I'm not going to read all of those to you, but a few that stand out. Again, looking at our multi-tiered support system is really important that we really meet 6 to 8 weeks going over data, using, all of us at the table. We're all there, the district team, and also buildings are having independent MTSS meetings. So those meetings are very, very important and meaningful because we are discussing each student and those students in that lower tier to figure out how we can continue to push them further. So we're discussing interventions, we're discussing what resources we're using, what evidence-based strategies, and how can we as a district help support the building level. So we're very proud of that. We're continuing with the personalized reading path for our students, which means that each student is on a path to proficiency based on their level, based on their progress. And then the other piece that we're really excited about is when they don't meet their goal, and we monitor that weekly, then principals and coaches have those individual conversations with teachers to say, hey, Ladora's not passing her assessments, what are you doing about that? So that's where that individualized teacher-directed instruction comes into play. And it's definitely yielding some growth there. And then also, the other thing, we are going to be offering spring tutoring before and after school using evidence-based resources and really monitoring those students very closely. And then the other thing that we're really doing and really focusing on too is the mid-year diagnostic growth data. So as we continue to look at that mid-year growth, which was in January, end of January, beginning February, we're really using the resources and using the strategies from iReady and looking at that to say what can we do better, where are students who are high performing and maybe low achieving, and really taking a more detailed dive down and holding our teachers accountable as well and holding us accountable on those action steps. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
We have our growth percentages, which are all in the green. What are the state standards that mean that they've met requirements? What are those numbers? Seems like there's a column that I'd like to see.
And that's included in the growth. So when you look at the iReady, they have domains. I don't have that on there. If you'd like that, we can give that information to you another time. But what'll happen is it'll show, what domains that we're doing great in, and it'll have the standards as well. We are making growth in many of those areas. Of course, we do have some areas to improve in, and that's where our PD is coming in and really working independently with those teachers and buildings. Thank you.
I have one question too, just so I understand for sure.
Yes.
So like where it says 56% on the first one, is that the 56%, that means proficient?
Yes.
56% of the
Third
third
graders.
grade are proficient in reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, and we're only in February, so
Yeah.
so we can still increase that, and our goal is to continue to increase that to supersede that. And once we hit 50%, that's a good sign that we are continuing to grow our students in hopes of meeting those goals at the end of the year.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. We do have some secondary data to share as well. So we have two slides. The first one is with our ELA. So I look, typically when we look at data from our fall to winter map, so the elementary does iReady and secondary does MAP, we look at growth from year to year, and then we also look at that growth from a cohort standpoint. So for example, when we look at the 22-23 school year, 45% of our sixth grade students met or exceeded their projected growth. So MAP provides you the projected growth, whether they should grow 4 RIT points or 6 RIT points or 8 RIT points based on how they start. So in 22-23, 45% of our sixth graders met it, and in 23-24, 53% of our sixth graders met it. But the color coding indicates how they progressed from sixth grade to seventh grade, from seventh grade to eighth grade, and so on. So for example, 45% and in 22-23 of our sixth graders met or exceeded their projected growth. In this year, 51% of our students met or exceeded their projected growth. So similar to what Ms. Hill said, we're not done. We're not satisfied with that. That's not where we want to end. We still have a lot of growth to do, but we do want to recognize that in many of our subject areas and in many of our grade levels, we are making improved gains. And then similar for math, we see a lot of that same trend. It skips a little bit because once you get to 8th grade, students either take 8th grade math, the pre-algebra, or they take high school algebra. So that's why you see the color coding kind of skip lines a little bit. But you're seeing a lot of the same things. So for example, if you look at math for 7th grade, in 22-23 as 7th graders, 46% of our students met or exceeded their growth. And then this year as 8th graders, 54% of our students met or exceeded their growth. So we are seeing increases, and we're looking at some of the changes to see what we can do to continue to grow that number. As far as the action steps that secondary is taken, we do continue to focus on our personalized learning paths. For middle school, we do have Dreambox as our personalized program, similar to the iReady program. And in high school, we have Alex. Those two are different just based on the core resource that we utilize. Since they are different resources, the personalized pathways are different. For our informational text, we do utilize the Be Able program. That was 6th through 8th grade last year, and we have rolled that up to 9th grade for this year and are looking to roll that up for 10th grade next year. The past few years, we have had Power Up classes as our intervention classes at the middle school. The one change that we made from previous years to this year is we're really looking at having consistent lessons. So when teachers have that collaboration, they're having that dialogue on how the students are performing on similar lessons as opposed to every teacher creating their own unique lesson. So that's one change that the teachers have felt very positive about. We are continuing to have one-on-one teacher meetings, so the administrators will meet one-on-one with the English and the math teachers to be able to look and dig deep into what their map data is and look at those different domains that Ms. Hill was referencing, looking at those domains of where are we seeing growth and where aren't we seeing growth, and then developing a plan of action of what can we do to address those gaps. We are continuing to have our MTSS meetings at the building and at the district level and looking at those students in the Tier 3 to see what interventions need to be put in place and are those students showing progress. We have had several students move off of the Tier 3 list because those interventions have proven to be successful. That doesn't mean that we're not providing those interventions anymore. It just means that we're seeing progress with those students. And then we do continue to partner with our Hamilton County math coach where we look take an even deeper look at that map data, determine the areas of growth and action steps. This is an opportunity for our math teachers at the middle school level to revise pacing guides based on what they're seeing, as well as modify the actual curriculum. We know that it's a great curriculum, but no curriculum is perfect, so we want to make sure that we adapt it based on what the data is showing for our students. And then new this year, something that the teachers have asked for, and we provided the opportunity and will continue to provide the opportunity, is to have vertical alignment conversations for grades 6 through 12. So it was something our department chairs through the course of our meetings were requesting. We started that work in January, and we're going to continue that work in March and try to do it at least twice a year, so that from that transition from middle school to high school, we're having those conversations to see what are those end of grade band skill sets. So that way the teachers know coming in what the students are expected to do. Questions?
Again, as I asked Ms. Hill, do you have a column for what the passing standard is? Growth, of course, if you're behind, you always have to grow, and even in your head, it's nice to grow. I'd like to see what the standard is for passing.
Yes, I do have that data, and I can get that to Mr. Card so that he can share it with the board.
Yes. Good evening. The only thing that I will add is that when we give the winter benchmark, that's all projected proficiency. So they are thinking that they can determine where the students will be when they take the Ohio State test. So anything that we give you this day wouldn't mean that it would line up automatically with what happens when they take the test in April and May. It's just a projection that we can give you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any plan if we're still behind at the end of the school year?
Yeah, we'll look at the data and we'll come together as a team and see what we need to do to get better. My hope is we're not, and we don't have to worry about that, but that's something we'll tackle when that time comes.
Previously, we had mentioned perhaps some summer activities. So if that's what we need to do, because kids only have a certain number of years to learn this before they're thrust into the world. And I understand vacations are important, but it's also important for the student to learn.
Yeah, I don't know if we can make students come at that point, but we can, if there's things, opportunities they want to take advantage of, we can look at that.
If we make it available.
Well, we'll look at, we can look at it and look at it, yes.
I mean, because I'm sure that would come with a free breakfast and lunch anyway, so. Why not? Thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Councilor, Mr. White.
I'm impressed with the numbers. Thanks for the report.
Okay, 5B, facilities plan update.
Mr.
Carr?
Roberts will be up here to give us an update on the facilities, master facilities plan. You should have a copy of what he's putting up there on the board.
Well, good evening, everyone. What you see in your packets and up on the screen, we went back to the original from when you charged us with the facility master planning and took all of the first designs and we've placed them all into just one area so that you could start to see them. And this is kind of one of the tools that we are going to use to start to market and promote this project as we move along. Since we met last week, or the week before, we have closed the construction management qualification submissions. Those came in. Mrs. Petter and Mr. Fricky led us through the screening process. We used representatives from our design firm to assist us to make sure that we were actually putting the scores correctly because the sheet was a little bit challenging for those of us that had not done it before. And we also have utilized the services of Diversified Facility Solutions, which is located in Lincoln Heights, to assist us as well as we move along. April the 8th is our next meeting. And by the time we reach that meeting, there is a meeting on the 11th, I believe, but on April the 8th, I believe we'll be able to submit to Mr. Card a recommendation for construction management, and then we will be able to really start to get full steam ahead with this. Interviews will begin, Mr. Fricky, am I correct, the 18th? Yeah, March the 18th, we will begin interviewing the construction management teams to start to narrow down that focus and make a recommendation to our superintendent. If you look at the second slide or in your docs, just a touch point, Mrs. Whiter had asked about that. And remember, these are just designs based off of the original facility master plan that we created and were charged with doing. But I did want to show the academic area. We created a design there. That focus is a study table area, if you will. During the day, it can be utilized as a classroom for our students that might need additional spacing, what have you. But that's just a little look at what that looks like that can be used for our students across the board. Any questions you may have?
It's Diversified, what was the name of that company?
Diversified Facility Solution. It goes by DFS.
Is that an SBE?
Are you talking about in terms of diversity?
No, in terms of it being a small business enterprise.
Oh, yes, they are a small bit.
woman-owned?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, they are. Yep, small business. They're located right just up from Lincoln Heights Elementary in that industrial park there. I think they're a team of 6, I believe.
Thank
Are they going to be part of the project going forward, or just for the selection?
Well, we'll need to get construction in, and then we'll need to get design in together once construction is identified and approved and design is together. We've talked about subcontractors. They certainly could be a part of that should we work with design and construction to do. DFS in scope doesn't have the capacity to handle the magnitude of this build, but they certainly could provide and lend any type of expertise that they have. They just finished the remodel at Wright Pat, actually. So the new general's headquarters, they just finished that. So they're moving into new areas right now. So.
I can't remember the name of the company now, but there's a Princeton graduate whose family did the design of all of the brick outside of the Underground Railroad Freedom Center.
Oh, wow.
And I'm hoping that they tried for something because they do work all over the country and they're pretty good at it. And it sure would be nice if we could say a Princeton grad had a part. I'm not, toting or promoting them.
Absolutely.
I'm just mentioning.
Absolutely.
I hope they knew about this opportunity.
And when your study tables are ready, if the young men need any supplies or anything, I know where they can go.
Any retired elementary teacher that may be willing to tutor?
I don't know.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Potentially. I used to go and get right down on the floor and then help the football players. And I still could get up.
That's the important
I'll
part.
go back up.
Get back up.
I do want to remind the board, when we talked about projects in the original, we had projects A through E, and then that expanded to include additional spacing, whether it was to improve the softball facility, create the soccer lacrosse complex, add the restrooms, redo the tennis courts. That is all lumped into Project A when you look at your map and your design. If you remember, that's just the original mapping there, but we put the other stages that went with it into this picture.
One other question, is there anything going on tomorrow evening?
Oh my
Hold up,
goodness.
I got that.
Is there
I
anything?
think Mr. Cart has, I think it's night 3 of American Idol tryouts or something.
Unless there's somebody from Princeton on there, that's okay.
I want to thank you for keeping us abreast on that. That's important. But the games, and there's one tomorrow night, thank you.
Yeah, we do. We
We're
have
so proud of
girl.
our kids.
Yeah, and I know Mr. Carr's going to touch on this, but we also had a wrestler finish 3rd in districts, and so he'll be a 3-time state qualifier. He'll head to Columbus this weekend as well. So, extremely excited about what's going on. And then tonight we kicked off spring sports. So, here we are.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, treasurer's report.
The financial report, which is normally the first board meeting of the month, we just closed the month this morning, so I'll have that financial report for you next Monday when we meet for the 3rd Monday in a row. So, yeah. And then the other thing I have is you will see on our next meeting agenda the new Board of Revision process. So now when we want to file a rebuttal or file with the Board of Revisions, you have to pass a resolution. So you'll see those. We've already got them out in draft mode. So if you want to start looking at that and if you have any questions, let me know ahead of time, because this is also new for me. I'm working closely with Gary Stedronsky, our attorney, on making sure we follow this process correctly, since this is the first time. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Carr?
I have quite a few things, so I'll go quickly, but a lot of important things. Preschool, kindergarten restoration is going on. Today, we're trying to bring them in, a couple schools at a time, into the enrollment center so they don't get overcrowded. You can come whenever you need to, but, so today was Evendale and Sharonville. Tomorrow, Lincoln Heights and Stewart. The 6th will be Glendale and Springdale, and then Heritage Hill and Woodlawn. So, I had one of my former students now that, shows how old I am, that now has a second grader here and a kindergartner. So she called me for that information today, so I made sure I went and looked that up to make sure I didn't tell her wrong. But, and then something that's very important for everybody, we've mentioned this a few times, I think I did a little video on it. Youth Truth Survey is ready and it's out. Please go and fill that out. It's through, you can do it through March, to the end of the day, March 22nd of 2024. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You go to the website and see that. It's ytsurvey.org/PrincetonFamily2, and you can go fill that out. And the reason that's so important is because we're working on a new strategic plan, and we want to use some of that information as well for our strategic plan. So we need as many people to go in. Please tell us what you think about Princeton. All different areas are on there. It won't take long, but it's really meaningful information. Also, one thing on there is it can change to several different languages, so that's not a barrier for anybody. And your answers are anonymous, so we don't know. Don't put in your answers your name or anything of that, so we'll know who you are, because we don't know. So if you want, you can be anonymous there. We also have this week a lot of things kicking off at the high school with our band and choir. So every night this week, you can go to our website. I'm not going to read them all, but every night this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can find something going on at Princeton High School with our band and our choir, our jazz, orchestra, and everyone else. So really they're very talented young folks. So if you want to go see that, please stop in. This coming Sunday, March 10th, Festival of Arts at Viking Village, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's free. Everyone is welcome. You can go see all the great things our kids do with the arts. It is a staple here at Princeton. I'm really excited because I probably haven't been since I was here before in like 2010. So I'm excited to go see what our kids are doing. Even though I get to the buildings and see a lot of things, everything together, it's just overwhelming how talented our kids are. So please stop and check that out. Princeton Education Foundation Gala is the 16th, Saturday, March 16th, 2024, 5:30 to 10. So please come out and enjoy all things Princeton. We'll have a really good time with a lot of great folks at the Delta Hotel on Chester Road. You can find information on our website to get that. I did do a video about that today, so that is in the link there of the video. If you're on our social media platforms, you can see that as well. Last month was Black History Month, a lot of great celebrations. I was able to do some door decorating and judge some contests. I got to go to Heritage Hill to a music gallery, and it was really neat. The kids had some older folks. I was like, how do you know about that person? And they said their teacher helped them with it, who to pick and things of that nature. And then a lot of great social media posts. The best thing about all that is, as you saw all last month, and you'll continue to see, at Princeton, we just don't celebrate Black History in February. Black history is American history. I've said that numerous times, and we will continue to celebrate that as we should. So that's a great thing. Mr. Roberts mentioned this, but Micah Cottrell, PHS senior, is going to the state in wrestling. I was able to last weekend to go see him in the sectionals. I didn't make it this weekend, but just a class gentleman. I've only met him once, but I talk to everybody. People say he's a class young man. He's a competitor. You watch him out on the mat. If you've ever been to a wrestling match, wrestling's tough. So tough. I had to play basketball. I couldn't wrestle. I always say that all the time. And he's a bad dude. He's a nice kid, but he's a bad dude on that mat. So good luck to him. We're real excited. 3-time state qualifier. And then, as hopefully you know, our girls won the district championship again Saturday, and we will play tomorrow night in the regional semifinals against Mount Notre Dame, 7 p.m. at Lakota West High School. Come out and be loud. And I think it's a red out. I saw that today on social media, so wear your red. Saturday was a blackout, and I had white on. Nobody told me, so I'm going to get it right this time, and we'll be good. And then the last thing I found out today, I added this. I had to write this in because I just found out later in the day. If you were at Lakota East on Saturday for the game, you saw there was a chess tournament. Yeah. And there were 20 Princeton elementary, junior high, and high school kids, or middle school and high school kids competing. And there's a lot of individual award winners, so we're going to have them. I'm not going to spoil their things. We're going to have them to a board meeting. But our middle school finished 4th in the state.
Wow.
And we had 20 people compete, most of the state. So that's pretty awesome. So we'll get those young folks in here to celebrate them at another meeting. So that's all I had, sir.
May I ask, is that the team that Mr. Arnold coaches?
He does the high school, and then but he has clubs, he helps with all of them, yes. So, yeah, it was pretty, some of the kids were walking into the game when we were there, and I happened to be standing right there at that door, so I talked to several of them, and didn't realize we had 20 kids there, though. That was pretty impressive, most of anybody. So that's great. And it's probably about Arnold and the other coaches have built up a quality program there.
Thank you.
Mr. Card, one other comment, maybe Joe Roberts can verify this, but we had a spirit bus that came up to the girls' game on Saturday.
Really?
And I believe it was a team. Can you elaborate on that, either one of you?
Did the team ride the bus? Good, yeah.
It was organized too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to mention.
I'm glad you did.
So our brand-new baseball coach, Coach Gino McGowan's, he took the baseball team to Matthew 25 Ministries Saturday morning to volunteer and assist there. And then at the conclusion of that, they all hopped on the bus and they came up to the game. And they packed out the student section. It was really good. I talked to Coach at the game. There wasn't a single baseball player that's on the roster that missed the volunteer to make it to the game. So they all attended that event.
That's good news.
I think we ought to give them a clap.
And one other, our AQT team competed this weekend, and the first time ever we hosted a national AQT academic quiz tournament, and we had 5 nationally ranked schools come in, and Mr. Mulholland organized that and coordinated it for us. And our students, we got beat up pretty good in the first round, but they had a little lunch break, got a little sugar in them, and they came back and they went 3-0 in the consoles to win the console round. So
That's good
hats off to
news.
our AQT kids as well.
And Mr. Roberts, for AQT, the staff-student game match was Friday. I got to
yes.
stop in and watch that. And there was like 20 questions I watched, and I got 3 of them right, so I'm happy I wasn't playing in
You
there.
did. I don't know if Mr. Douche got any right, though.
What were those questions?
Oh,
No, he wasn't loud.
they didn't
I was
invite him.
told,
No.
I was told you weren't loud.
The
They didn't tell
students
me that.
did beat the staff Friday in the staff-student challenge, I will say that.
That's great. That's good news.
Thank you very much for that report. At this time, we're going to enter into executive session to discuss under sections 121.22G1 to consider the employment of a public employee of the Ohio Revised Code. There's no further action post the executive session that is expected.
Is that a motion you just made?
No, I'm just explaining.
Oh, okay.
Now, may we have a motion?
Yes. I would like to move that we adjourn the board meeting, that we may go into executive session to discuss the sections you mentioned.
Okay.
I'll second.
Properly moved and seconded. Ms. Perry?
Mrs. Kessler,
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Simons.
Yes. Motion passes.